You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, friends. It is once again time for This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. He's Ben, I'm Hobbs, you're in Clown World. The horrors persist, yet so do we. Welcome back, everyone. It has been a week. Indeed, it has been a week. You're muted, bud.
Muted. It's been a fun week, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Lots of stuff going on. The protests in Ireland seem to have, I'd say, simmered down to a low boil. Although they are still grabbing headlines. A couple of migrant hotels were burned down.
I never understood Ireland's issue. I mean, one of the few white countries in the world that has no reason to have white guilt.
Right, exactly. And that seems to be the general consensus among a lot of people who are watching this from the outside. And it really kind of drives the point home that all of the excuses about colonialism and slavery and everything else is just a bullshit excuse to destroy the West, to demoralize and destroy the successful capitalist Western liberal democracies that we have, because you cannot have them exist in their current form, because that acts as something to juxtapose the everywhere else with.
And I mean, they're going, like, you sent me some links here, and I just saw the lady, she was scared of the Irish flag.
Right.
You want me to play that one, or?
I mean, if you want to. The thing is, though, is that a lot of these people that are in power, they serve a higher power than the nations that they claim to represent. When you see people that say that they're afraid of people who are waving their own nation's flag, you have to realize that these people, they're not representative of that nation. They view themselves as above nations. These are the rootless anywhere people. The globalists is another term that gets thrown around a lot, but these people are the globalists. She probably does not see herself as an Irish person. She probably sees herself as a citizen of the European Union. Or even more cringeworthy, a human of the earth.
And who was the guy that came on Harrison Smith?
Which one?
Oh, he was. You sent me it, and I watched it. It was about the recruiting military age Muslim man.
Oh yeah, that was a conversation that he was having with Rob Dew,
Oh,
who
okay,
was
yeah.
he's one of the behind the scenes guys at Infowars. This last week they've been having kind of a shuffle around. Alex hasn't been on his show all week long. Harris has been filling in for him, and Rob Dew's been filling in for Harrison on the third show.
Mhm.
But yeah, they were having a discussion about what's going on in Ireland, and that's one of the links that I sent you. Maybe we can play that where they were discussing it. But the Irish constabulary was actually sending recruiters to Pakistan to recruit Pakistanis, like native Pakistanis, to come to Ireland in order to be police officers in Ireland. And they were using the excuse of, oh well, Ireland is quickly diversifying and there's an ever increasing number of Muslim and specifically Pakistani diaspora within Ireland, and so it would be really helpful if people who understood their cultures and spoke their language were within the police force in order to facilitate law and order. When really what it is they're hiring foreign mercenaries to police the Irish, because Paddy from down the block is not going to probably bust his neighbor's head open with a truncheon, but Abdul from Islamabad is going to have no problem with it, because if the uppity Irish are out of the picture, then his co-ethnics will have an easier time coming in and leeching off of the benefit system and having an easier time of getting into the country to begin with. So
Mhm.
you can just really call it what it is. It's what despotic royalty has done throughout all the ages. Is when you are oppressing your own people, you hire foreign mercenaries who will have no problem stomping them into the dirt, because they have no ties, no familial ties, no property ties, no ties at all to that land. They're literally mercenaries. I see you got it queued up, so let's
Yeah, I do have it here. Let me
don't have a familial connection to those people,
Yep.
and so they're more likely to bash skulls in. And so where's the Irish government recruiting people now?
Yeah, so this is a crazy video that I found a while ago, maybe back in like 2024 or something. So because this has been going on for a while, and the story about Ireland is years and years old.
Uh-oh, what happened? Okay, well, apparently Ben must have dropped out. I don't know if if you guys can hear me at all. I'm sure he'll be back. This seems to happen somewhat regularly when he goes to stream things. Perhaps in the future.
They are actually making TV advertisements to air in Pakistan in the Pashtun language for recruitment into the Irish Garda, which is their federal police force.
Yeah, that's what you had just talked about.
It's still playing in the background.
Yeah, it's just on us. So yeah, that's basically what you just summed up.
Yeah. And I think at the end of that clip, they actually played one of the recruitment videos that was played in Pakistan of an Irish guy and a Pakistani woman who was, I guess, like an Irish Pakistani woman, because she was speaking Pashtun. Yeah, there it is, right there. Pashtun with an Irish accent, which is interesting to hear. But yeah, that's the video that
Interesting. Almost 25% of their population is foreign born. I think it was just maybe 5 years ago that Ireland reached their pre-potato famine population levels. I think I saw that stat. I mean, sad situation. I saw what's the significance of the hotel that they burned down?
so in the UK and in Ireland and across a lot of Europe, the governments have essentially been renting entire hotels just paying, market rate or maybe even a little bit higher, and putting these people, refugees into these hotels and just allowing them to live there. And this was one of these hotels. They burned it down. There's been also some vandalism and vigilante justice at similar places in the UK and across Europe, but by and large, the tourism industry, some of these places are like these old medieval shires and villages that have that kind of old timey atmosphere to them. And the tourism industry is a big part of, their local economies. People will come in, they want to see that medieval village, they'll stay at the hotel, they'll go out, they'll shop within the village and whatnot. Well, when these hotels are being taken over by the government, the people that they're putting in are also being provided with everything. So they don't go out and shop in the local economy. So the local economies are actually suffering pretty badly without that influx of tourist cash. And so, a lot of people are starting to understandably get a little bit pissed off with what's going on due to massive hordes of unassimilable third world shitheads.
So what's the path has anybody said what the path is that these guys are taking? Do they come to are they coming through England and then up to Ireland, or are they just sailing are they taking them on boats all the way around, or they're just flying them in wholesale?
They have to be coming across from the UK. They come up from northern Africa or through Turkey or through Greece, and then they just make their way across all of Europe, basically benefit shopping or going to a place where they think they're going to get something that interests them. A lot of these guys, they're young military-aged males, and because of the interconnected world that we live in right now, this is very similar to, what young men would do back in the day to go exploring. This is an adventure for them. They're not looking to put down roots of any substance. They're not looking to bring over a family. They're definitely not refugees in the textbook definition of the sense. They're just men that are sowing their wild oats and exploring.
It seems like this has more potential to be a one-way road than America's immigration issues. If somebody comes up from South America or Mexico, they can catch a bus or whatever to get down to the border and get back across.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like once these people make their way into Ireland, there aren't probably a lot of options for them to head out.
Well, yeah. From what I understand, because it's similar to the U-Haul index here in the United States, where you can rent a U-Haul to travel into California for basically like $50. But if you live in California and you try to rent a U-Haul to get out of California, you're looking like a 4-digit payment. It's the same thing with flights going into and out of places within Europe. If you're a migrant and you're in Europe and you want to go back to where you're from, the flights are very, very cheap. But getting into Europe is much more expensive, which is why they're, taking the refugee route and just illegally immigrating. I think I read somewhere that a fairly decent percentage of these so-called refugees actually do fly back to their home countries on holiday. Now, if you were a refugee and you were fearing for your life and fleeing from your country of origin, I don't think that I would be flying back on holiday. So that right there is a red flag that says that their flights should be turned one way at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was wondering what they're hoping the solution to this is for mass deportations. It's not like how we were doing where we were loading them on buses back over the border, I guess. What type of solutions have they tried coming up with besides just burning buildings down for getting rid of all these immigrants?
Well, in Ireland right now, their politicians are still not of they're not of sufficient fear of the populations yet,
So the
because
ones we're seeing are few. They're still a minority. These ones that are mad as hell and not going to take it anymore.
well, the people are growing in frustration. The Irish government, however, seems to be full of these globalist types that are trying to virtue signal how wonderful and inclusive and diverse and whatever they are to the rest of the world. They had a vote of no confidence that was held just the other day, and they narrowly avoided disbanding the government by 8 votes in the parliament. There are you're looking at right now, the Irish Parliament is about split 50-50 between people who want to disband the government and start over from scratch due to the riots and the protests, and the people who are like, no, everything's fine. We just need to clamp down on the Irish people harder. They sent in the army, they sent in the Gardaí in full riot gear, and that just ended up pissing people off even more. It's like, Ireland, within living memory, has had paramilitary groups that have been setting off car bombs and engaging in small arms ambushes. And now you got, they kind of built their whole thing on Ireland for the Irish, and uh, uh, rising up against authoritarianism. And now you guys just want to like put the pedal to the metal on the authoritarianism. It's like, do you guys not know who you're dealing with here?
Well, it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of it. It sounds like it's gaining momentum, and the people are getting pissed off, burning things down, much like the toilet paper guy here in America, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to start seeing a lot more of that, I think.
Well, and not to segue off the Ireland thing, but the media attached onto it, and they started posting a bunch of pictures or videos of and stories of other warehouses and things burning down. But apparently, warehouse fires aren't a rarity in the United States, and it wasn't really an uptick, and it's already cycled its way out of the news. But that guy was everywhere for several days. Everybody commenting on what he did.
Yeah, and if I was them, I would want to cycle that out of the news as quickly as possible too. You wouldn't want to get any copycat, vigilantes or whatever you would call what he did, violent, vandalous activism or whatever.
He also happened to be Muslim, I guess.
Shocking.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird situation. He burned it down, and people were like, well, he's working in a warehouse. He had to be making decent money, but he was working for the warehouse under some sketchy situations where they hired a third-party company to handle their warehouse work, and apparently he was making barely above minimum wage.
They sublet their employees.
Yeah, they had sublet their employees out to a third-party company who barely paid these guys anything and kept them under full-time hours, so they wouldn't have to give them benefits either. So
Yeah.
not that I agree with why he did it, but I understand.
I can empathize, but I won't sympathize with property destruction, because now you've just put several other people out of work. You've destroyed a business. You've torched 50 million people's asswipe. And
it was cutting corners all around, because people are like, well, don't these warehouses have fire suppression systems? And somebody commented he worked in one of these warehouses, and he's like, yeah, they do the bare minimum to get the fire inspector out, but there's no way they could handle any sort of fire in these warehouses.
Especially not something that's as flammable as toilet paper.
Right. You'd think, I'm sure if they had an actual engineer of some sort come in and design their system, he would have said, no, this is fucked. But yeah, whole thing burned down. I doubt it'll affect the company's bottom line at all. It'll probably just be an insurance payment. And that guy's life is ruined. To get off that segue, though, another European news: Hungary got rid of Orban.
Yeah, and at first I was kind of blackpilled on that because Orban was like the last based politician left in the EU. He was being fined like €1 million a day for not taking in refugees or something. It got up to like $35 billion in frozen assets from the EU. They were just like, take refugees. And he's like, go fuck yourself. And they're like, we'll fine you. And he's like, go fuck yourself. And so he got beat in an election by a guy who used to work for him until 2024, quit his administration, founded a new party, became the opposition. He beats Orban in an election, and everybody in the EU and other globalist shit libs like Barack Obama were like, oh, well done, Hungary. You've ousted the dictator, because dictators are known for conceding elections and
Right.
stepping down voluntarily. But you beat the dictator. You took back your democracy. And everybody's like clapping like dumbass seals. And I was a little bit blackpilled on because I didn't know anything about this guy. And then he turns around and he's like 90% of what the EU asked of him. He turned around and was like, nah.
Yeah. I'd watch this a little bit, and the interesting article I saw about it, they were talking about how great this guy was, but his policy, he didn't really have any policy position. He was running on I'm not Orban.
Yeah.
And nobody really dug into his policies on it.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't put him out there either. In his defense, he didn't lie. He just didn't say what his policy positions were. I went to their website after I read this article, and it was translated to English, but it still seemed accurate. Didn't comment on anything. At his party, the name is portmanteau of two words that give you a warm fuzzy, I guess. I forget what they were, but it's like freedom and liberty or something in Hungarian, and it's cut in half, and that's the name of their party.
Yeah, the dude did a masterful play of the EU and all of their cronies, because I thought the shenanigans were afoot, because I thought that Orban was overwhelmingly popular, and for all we know, he was, because it seems like he conceded very early and without much public fanfare.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting to think that there might be some inside baseball going on. Somebody that I saw commented that this frees Orban up to run for the head of the EU. And Ben dropped out again, so we'll just wait for him to come back. Do. Yeah, love technology. I don't know. Maybe next week I'll run it off of Rumble, since I seem to have a pretty good connection, and it's good enough to run it off. But don't you just hate it when this happens? You get into a good flow, and then everything kind of falls apart. Don't have any comments that I can see on our end. If you're watching in the Rumble chat right now, and we are live right now, it is 9:45 on the 18th of April. Why don't you go ahead and throw some chats up in the chat? I can see the Rumble chat. I can't see the YouTube chat. So we'll just have to wait for Ben to come back. If he comes back. Anyways, see what else we've got going on in the world. We'll open up the old Twitter here, and we will take a look-see. Yeah, I don't know. We got off to a really late start today because I had some things going on. I misplaced my laptop, and we kind of had some stuff going on that we were planning on talking about, and bring everything in, but without Ben here, because he's the one who's running things in the background, without him here to pull that stuff in, then we can't really show it to you guys. But I can talk about it. Like we were talking about the Irish thing going on. The other thing that we've got going on is that Pam Bondi was out at the DOJ, and it's looking like he might be putting Lee Zeldin in as the new Attorney General, which is a little bit weird because Lee Zeldin is also running the EPA right now. And to the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure what kind of lawyer he is or if he even is a lawyer. Yeah, Ben just texted me here his power cut out. So, yeah, with nothing going on, without being able to pull anything in for you guys and like scrolling through Twitter and doom scrolling stuff, it might behoove us to just kind of call this one a little bit early here. I don't know why his power would have dipped out, but yeah. All right, so there's an awful lot going on. The Straits of Hormuz are still closed. They're blockaded by the United States. They're open. They're blockaded. I mean, it's just a whole goddamn mess. It's hard to tell what's going to be going on there. I just seen something here pop up on my timeline that there's 4,500 M1 carbines in an old armory in Europe that are just sitting there because the ATF won't approve the import paperwork. These are M1 carbines. They're semi-automatic, 30 carbine. They're neat, handy little rifles. They're made in the U.S. They were really used in the Second World War. I have one. It's awesome. It's fun. Then, like I said, they were U.S. government property marked. They were probably sent over there or left over there as some type of like a Lend-Lease program or something. But, whatever. Oh, another big thing that happened today was, I guess, Trump signed some type of an executive order that I guess is freeing up certain psychedelic compounds like mushrooms or LSD or whatever like that to be to seek treatment for things like traumatic brain injuries, PTSD, opioid addiction, and other things like that. So that's neat. Yeah, lots of stuff going on in the world. I'm kind of burned out. I had a lot going on today. Ben's power is out, so I think we're just gonna have to call it for tonight, guys. I apologize. I wish I was a little more on the ball tonight. Maybe next week we will. I'll do this on the Rumble Studios, and we'll hopefully not have any of these types of issues. So, with that in mind, stay honky.